31-14, Colorado loses at UCLA. The losing streak is now 5 games. The number one thing that stood out during this game is, again, this offense with so much talent. 283 yards of offense against, I know UCLA's defense and team overall has been getting better, but there was a large stretch early in the season when they had the worst defense statistically in this conference.
Yeah, and terrible pass defense. I mean, going into last week, I think they were 127th nationally in pass efficiency defense. No team in the country giving up more passing touchdowns than UCLA, and the Buffs get one. But that passing game was just not in sync from the start. I mean, second play of the game, I think it was second play of the game. Steven Montez throws a pass to Katie Nixon. He drops it, and one of several drops by the Buffs. Steven missed several throws, but there were several drops as well, and that just added up to just a poor night. They were never in sync with that passing game. Nice touchdown pass to Tony Brown. That one looked pretty good, but I mean, just consistency was not there with that passing game. And I thought Jaron Mangum ran the ball pretty well, but that was really about the highlight of the offense.
Yeah. We keep hearing Mel Tucker and these coaches say, we just got to get everybody on the same page. Mm-hmm. Disjointed is probably the word I would use to describe this offense. Yeah. There's stretches where the O-line plays pretty well, and then they'll go and have untimely penalties. Yeah. There's stretches where Steven Montez plays well, and then vice versa. And it seems like there's never units working together at the same time.
Yeah, and with the offensive line, I mean, I thought they've been pretty solid for several weeks. Last week they just weren't, and it's amazing how many times they jump when it's 2nd and 1 or 3rd and 1, and now all of a sudden you're in a 3rd and 6 situation. Those types of things are just killing this offense. And you're right, they haven't played complementary football in weeks. I mean, they did a pretty good job with it for a while against USC, but it's for the most part it's been a long time since they've done it consistently. And that defense played well enough to win the football game the other day. The offense just did not.
It reminded me of Oregon in one aspect. Late in the first half, they had a chance to gain some momentum, despite spotting UCLA a 17-0 lead. If they score a touchdown there on their final drive of the first half, it's 17-14 going into halftime. You wonder then if the momentum going to the locker room helps propel this program in the second half and the game looks differently. Instead, they don't get any points out of that drive, and that just kills your locker room, I think, going into halftime.
I agree, and even if you get the field goal there, at 17-10, you feel a lot better than 17-7. And yeah, they did a good job of coming back after a really bad. I mean, that might have been the worst first quarter we've seen Colorado play this season, and they did a good job coming back from that, but still just not enough offensively to really sustain anything and take advantage of. I mean, the defense gave them so many opportunities, and there was the interception by Carson Wells. They made several stops in a row, and up until that final touchdown run by Joshua Kelly that kind of salted things away, UCLA scored 7 points in the middle of 2 quarters, and CU's offense couldn't take advantage.
Yeah, you mentioned Carson Wells' big play there. We've been waiting for that. He ended last season playing so well, and I don't know how much being knocked out a couple games with a concussion kind of slowed his progress this year. Big moment for him. Hopefully he can kind of use that as to propel him into these last 3 games. And Nate Landman, that's the Nate Landman we expected to see all season. He was out there flying around, 2 sacks, made a lot of plays.
Yeah, I thought he was the best player on the field for Colorado, and I thought maybe that was his best game. It's easy to say that when you get sacks because those are impact plays. He's played pretty well all year, but they were blitzing him. Something we saw last year, haven't seen a whole lot of this year, but he looked good. I mean, he was the best player on the field. If he can play like that down the stretch and get other guys around him to play like that, then they'll be okay.
There was that brief stretch where Delrick Abrams goes out, and you've got 2 guys out there corner that started camp at receiver. I thought Luckett, given the situation he was thrust into with the lack of experience, played pretty well. And I think, again, when they get KJ Trujillo back, who is showing improvement, there's some hope for those young cornerbacks.
Yeah, that's the one thing that out of the season, as tough as it's been with that cornerback position, you almost have to look at it and say, all right, 2020 might not be so bad, because KJ Trujillo was really coming on before he was out last week. Tariq Luckett, like you mentioned, coaches love his potential, and he showed a little bit of that the other day. You get hopefully Mekhi Blackman and Chris Miller back next year. That's 4 guys right there. And then I know they're recruiting, and they got Nigel
Bethel,
the kid from Miami that has been here, but has to sit out. They're going to have more depth there. They're going to have more talent there. It's unfortunate they lose Delrick, because it'd be nice to pair Delrick with that group. But I think they're going to be okay at corner. I think that's the one thing out of the season you look at it and say, okay, there's some talent there.
Mel Tucker said, hey, this is the 8th time I've been part of a first-year program as a player or as a coach, and it's always very, very difficult. You can't say that coming into the season, because you don't want these guys to lack confidence, but as they've continued to lose games, he's being realistic about that and the fact that the culture has not been established here yet.
Yeah, and let's be honest, he was aware of all this, coming into the season. I mean, you're right. He can't say that publicly, because you've got to have confidence in these guys. And honestly, I think a lot of that confidence helped get them to that 3-1 start. I mean, really showing the belief in them. But he's right. I mean, it takes a while. I mean, you can't change the culture, and I know CU fans are fed up with seeing these things take a while, because this is now how many coaches in a row that you've got to wait for them to change their culture, and it takes a while, and fans don't want that. They want, and we were told that it wasn't going to be like that. Rick George and Mel Tucker said, hey, there's no honeymoon period. We want to win now. And so fans expected that. And so when this season's going to turn out to be, 4-8 or 3-9 or whatever it is, that's not going to sit well. But I do think that the foundation is being set here.
It is so tough. We have to interact with CU fans every day, and to tell them to continue to be patient, they've been as patient as they possibly can be. I mean, you talk about this year, unless they win their last 3 games, that's 11 of 12 years you're not going to a bowl game. The previous 22 years before that, they played in 18 bowl games. So there was this expectation that you're going to be playing in a bowl game pretty much every year, and it just hasn't been the case here. I hate to tell the fans to be patient, but it is what it is.
It is, and and really, you look at the last 16 games. They're 3-13 the last 16 games. That's kind of insane.
Especially with some of the talent they have on this team.
With the talent they have, and with the fact that before that 3-13, they were 5-0 and ranked in the top 25 in the country, and they've been 3-13 since then. That's insane. With the talent and with the way they were kind of rolling at the start of last year, it's crazy to see what's happened since that 5-0 start.
And we're right there with the fans. It's a lot more fun to cover a program that's winning football games.
Yes, it is.
Sean Keeler for the Denver Post had a well-written article. The premise was they need to move off of Steven Montez as quarterback. I think it's at least a week premature. It's homecoming. Montez has still had flashes. Until he got knocked out of that USC game just a week and a half ago, he was playing really well. You could still theoretically win 3 games and go to a bowl game. I don't think you make a change there yet, but it could be interesting. It could be a topic a week from now if they do lose. But basically, you asked Mel Tucker about it after practice today. I don't anticipate them moving off Steven Montez, even if they lose on Saturday, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't either, and I don't anticipate them moving off of him this year unless he's hurt. I just think, there's only so much you can do at quarterback, and if you move off of him, then you're saying that the biggest issue of the season is quarterback, and I don't think that's the case. I think there's
at times,
but I don't think that's been the biggest issue. And I think that to move off him, you have to believe that a quarterback change is going to all of a sudden spark this team, and I'm not sure that that's the case. I mean, I still think, Mel Tucker said today, Steven gives us the best chance to win.
And he said, I'm very confident that he is, so it wasn't even a hesitation or a little glimmer that they might make a change there.
And let's be honest, there's 2 scholarship guys behind him, one of which the last 2 weeks hasn't been able to throw a football. And the other one is a true freshman redshirt freshman that has thrown 3 passes, and the first one was picked. So, it's not like, not saying that Tyler Lytle and Blake Stenstrom aren't going to be good quarterbacks. You almost want to see what you have there, but I think it's different than like a Broncos situation, where Joe Flacco, I know he's hurt now, but you want to see a young guy. I think it's different in this situation. I still think Steven's given a lot to this program, and you let him finish out a season when this is a lost season anyway, and I think you let him finish it out.
All right, Buff fans, hang in there. We'll be back with analysis of Stanford later in the week.